So we now move from entrepreneurial development to entrepreneurial learnings. And I invite Ms. Sujata Hari, who is an executive director for Vigil Group of Companies.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Sujata.
Hello. Thank you, Dr. Kalpana, for the wonderful introduction. What a beautiful day it is. And I'm really happy sharing it with you, the eminent speakers, Dr. Harbeen Arora, who's been instrumental in starting something like this for the Tamil Nadu chapter, and all the virtual viewers. Women today have mostly been evolved and from the confinement of the four walls of the kitchen and gone to build successful careers of their own. However, the one thing that still remains unchanged is her responsibility to manage her home and family just as well as she did before she became a working woman. She's still expected to play the multiple role of, being there to take care of the children, the mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, and so on and so forth, and catering to every need in the home while also being a model employee or an entrepreneur at her workplace. As a society, the onus has fallen upon us to empower the women in our lives so that they can accomplish everything they are truly capable of. Whether it is in small ways like sharing the burden of household chores or through bigger gestures like enabling her pursue further education and to build her skills, that we all have a role to play and break the gender cycle. While commendable efforts like this have gone a long way in bringing about the change, we must not overlook that true empowerment begins at home, within a family, friends, and society. Here, I would like to narrate my own story. During the late 50s, 60s, and even 70s, it was an era of male dominance and autocracy. And I was born to my parents as the eldest daughter and also the first girl child of my generation on the maternal side of my family. In spite of hailing from a very small village in Kerala called Anakara, I considered myself beyond blessed to have been born in a family I did and to have many a role to guide me on this journey. The earliest I had heard was about my grandfather, a single male child among his 12 sisters, who was a staunch supporter of women's rights and always advocated their freedom and equality in society. He was a visionary who wasn't afraid of practicing what he preached. Wished he would have been a little longer, but you know, there are big memories of what my mother and my grandmother had told about him, which are very strongly etched. My oldest aunt, an army widow since her 20s, was not just a single mother for her son from the day he was born, but also held the mantle of overseeing all the agricultural lands of the family and managing the household. I'm equally grateful to my parents, especially my father, who was strong and a pillar of support and motivation, and who reposed his trust and confidence in all my endeavors. From very early in life, he gave me the liberty to choose and pursue passions, even in the face of financial struggles and societal pressures. Thanks to him, I'm proud to say that I'm the first woman graduate, postgraduate, and a woman entrepreneur in my family. I've been equally, if not more luckier and blessed that I've got married to a family where my husband, the strongest critic with liberal views and thoughts, and my mother-in-law, a power bank motivator. With a vision of excellence and creating positive impact in society, I began my career in the early 80s. After having amassed a great deal of experience, having worked for corporates even as a consultant, I decided to join hands and plunge into the forces with my husband, Haridas Menon, at Vigil Security Bureau Private Limited in 1995. Today, we are a 33-year-old, PASARA licensed, ISO certified, and CRISIL rated company that has heavily invested in creating a change in the lives of people. Initiating Vigil, a company within the manpower-driven service industry, has been a turning point in my life in many ways. Leveraging its potential of being a people-first company, we made it a priority to use it to impact the lives of our employees, especially those who belong to the lower economic group. Right from the get-go, we had extensive programs for our staff that go beyond the scope of just employment. We created numerous opportunities for advancement of our employees through intensive training programs and welfare schemes. The children of our security personnel employed with our organization were identified for promoting their education after Standard 8 with career guidance and measures to enable them build a better future. To our pride and joy, today we have quite a few of them who have become doctors, engineers, IT professionals, and advocates. But those who couldn't complete beyond 10th and 12th, we help them in diploma courses and other skill development trainings. Apart from this, we have consistently been working on providing income generating opportunities to multiple members of a family, especially the women, identifying their skills, helping them with microfinancing, and it's not just giving them the loan, but helping them manage the business accounts, repayments, and savings. We always stressed upon and educated them on how they can plan as a family if they know of a forthcoming event. Instead of pawning whatever small silver or gold or assets that they have, how they can run and which could run into debts, burdening them with high interest, eventually taking a toll on the monthly budgets, and in most cases, losing those little precious assets that they had. This affects not only the morale of the lady of the house, but the respect of the man who is usually our employee. Initially, we started inviting performers like those who got promotions and, or high achievers in recruitment, or who gave vital information on an abatement to theft or averting a fire or attending trainings, etc., on different criteria. But this invitation was also given to all the members of the family so that they knew where the father or mother, whoever was working, they knew about the company. And they would also take pride in the achievements that they have had from the company. And because of this, there would be a sense of pride, and he was held higher of a better esteem in the family, which means more joy, more respect, and definitely more support from the family. We have a clipping, we usually give a clipping, and we all have a speaker on a topic of social awareness, environment, sustainability, etc. We then started including the not so good employees. And this, I would tell, was a big game changer. And this started showing tremendous improvement in the attitude, and there was a shift. Thereby, the quality with the Vigil employees improved. We're also proud to say that even before the Sexual Harassment Act 2013 came into effect, we at Vigil had our own grievance cell with the late A.B. Venkatachalam, the DGP of Kerala, and me at the helm, where we were not only supported our staff, but also their families, relatives, and friends. Under his mentorship, we started inviting our staff and their family to our Sunday morning trainings that threw up light on topics like eve teasing, sexual harassment, gender discrimination, domestic violence, very many women-centric topics like breastfeeding, hygiene, and more. We believe that this personal one-on-one approach is one of the primary reasons for the exceptionally high retention rate in the staff of Vigil. And I would also like to mention at this point that during our 33-year stint, we have never had any problem of a client complaining about eve teasing, I think this is something which has been grounded in our employees, that they never had any of these major problems in their life. As pioneers in the industry, we have consciously made effort to provide women security personnel and women in other verticals a safe and conducive environment. We are very proud to say that we have at an average of about 20% women on our rolls and are constantly working on a better average. I would like to thank all my clients, the Rotary, the Inner Wheel, and others for supporting many of these beneficiaries. To train, empower, and impact 3,000 plus people who are part of the unskilled labor force, enabling them earn livable wages, creating an identity for themselves, and distribution of profits by 2025 is my personal mission. Before I end, I would like to take a moment to reflect upon the words of Kofi Annan. He said that there is no tool for development more effective than empowerment of women. I would like to take this a step further and say that as women, let us rise up and empower ourselves and the women around us every single day, whether you do it within the walls of your house or outside. Especially women-led organizations, which has and will have a great impact on the social and economic sustainability of the society. Because of an empowered woman creates a stronger community, and a stronger community is the beginning of a sustainable nation. And I'm very happy to say, with the panelists who spoke before me, I think this is a great platform that, where we could collaborate, where we have a lot of women in our, bank who would like to start entrepreneurship and not knowing how and where to go about. I would really like to thank Vicky for inviting me to be part of the panelists. Thank you. And in case anyone has any questions, I'm willing to take it forward.
Thank you, Sujata. You've been a stellar example of what happens when women is at the helm of an entrepreneurship enterprise. Not just employee focused, but family focused as well. And that level of contribution and cohesive development is what we look forward to as well. So it's keeping in alignment with Wiki goals as well. So thank you so much for your time. Since we are coming closer to the end of our session, I would like to introduce Dr. Deepa Senthil, who will be handling the Q&A. So any questions she will be asking, and I invite the speakers, the panelists, to make themselves available as well. Dr. Deepa.
Thank you, Kalpana. So this is a question from Mr. Jacob. So how many years has the Women Startup Program been running, and how many women have been incubated? Jacob? Yeah.
Yes, hi. Yeah, I've heard the question. So NSRCell started about, So NSRCell started about 20 years back, and we are just celebrating our 20th year. We've always had women entrepreneurs come, but of the last 3 to 4 years is when we have dedicated programs for women entrepreneurs, which is a women-specific program. And to answer your question, we've had thousands of women entrepreneurs who have come through other programs as well, and specifically through this program, we've had thousands. We expect this time for this participation, we expect about 10,000 women entrepreneurs to apply for the program. And that's a lofty goal. And we hope to incubate 1,000 women entrepreneurs this year through the Women Startup Program. And we also hope to incubate about 500 women entrepreneurs who are in the scale-up stages through our 10,000 Women's Program. So a total of about 10,500 women entrepreneurs just through these two programs.
Right. Thank you.
Sure.
And a question for Ms. Sangeeta. In your experience as a business coach, what is the most important financial discipline that one needs to have for success, and what leads to failure?
The simple thing is you just need to review your financials month on month, at least month on month. If not, even more will be better. So when I say financials, especially your P&L. So scrutinize every line item by line item, and then you prepare a budget if you can. Compare it with your actuals, see what the variance is, because that will tell you stories, where your business can improve, and you can even pick up stuff like by mistake if there are, duplicate payments or, you forgot to invoice somebody, stuff like that. These things can be picked up by doing a variance analysis. So I think that is very crucial. So get into this discipline and the habit of looking through your financial statements. So while you may always outsource or, get an accountant or somebody else to look through, the onus lies on you. So you need to look through and you need to understand. And if you don't understand, you can always reach out and, ask advisors or coaches like me, somebody to see what you can do better. But the onus lies on the entrepreneur. So you have to take steps and initiatives to do that.
Absolutely.
The traditional model is daily account checking. Right?
Yes. So yes, absolutely. So
business model.
Yes, it depends.
They have a daily turnover.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It depends on the volume, and if it is going to be an on-time or real-time updation of the system, then that would really help. But yeah, if not, you can always take support from your finance team or check it at periodic intervals.
Yeah.
That's convenient to you.
Thank you, Ms. Sangeeta. The next question is for Ms. Sujata.
Yeah.
How do you empower and encourage the women in your organization?
Yeah, we have these Sunday trainings where we invite the women and the family as a whole. See, just not the male, but the women also come in. So they have their points of view and they say there's, because we usually cater to the lower economic segment, right? So that is when they say how they're into debts and, his husband may be drinking, no income. So that is where we try to identify what their skills are, what they are good. We have helped people in so many ways, in so many verticals, in putting up tailoring units, small businesses into caterings, making pickles. At that level, that is what. But the next generation has come in, so they will be able to scale up. So that is why I was saying that, identifying women skills is very easy with our segment, especially the lower segment.
Very nice. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Over to Kalpana.
Kalpana, there is one question to Sangeeta.
Yes, please. Abhi?
Is there any accounting software that you would recommend for MSMEs, an alternative to Tally? Sangeeta, can you just answer this?
Yeah, so I think Zoho offers, it's called Zoho Books or something. Tally is there. There's also QuickBooks. There are a couple of them. So you just have to see which is suitable for you, which is user-friendly and, how you're comfortable in working with it. So there are a couple of these options. So you can definitely check out to see what will work well.
Right.
Thank you, Sangeeta.
Welcome.
I'm sure there are a lot more questions for you, per se.
Sure.
But for now, I think we will table it for now, and we would like to open the session, for the next session, and invite
Yes.
the next speaker.
I'd like to just tell the vote of thanks. Our thanks to Dr. Harbeen Arora for being with us today and inaugurating the launch. Thanks to the esteemed speakers of this wonderful panel, Women-Led Entrepreneurship Towards Economic and Social Sustainability. Our thanks to Mr. Jacob for taking the time to share his experiences. Thanks to Ms. Sangeeta Sumesh for such wonderful knowledge sharing on financial prudence. And our sincere thanks to Sujata Hari for her soulful sharing of experiences and how she established her company, Vigil Security. Thanks to Dr. Kalpana for the great moderation. Thank you.